Hello! Artfight is just around the corner, and I wanted to make a video where I talk about my OCs to help people get to know them, but also it's mostly because I love this story and I really wanted to gab about it. And this story is inspired by my love of historical settings and such works as The Thing, Alien, The Terror, and Darkest Dungeon. Before we get into the characters, here's a quick synopsis of the story. It takes place during the age of Antarctic exploration. The Grant Expedition is an independent venture headed by August Grant and financed by a shady businessman. Grant and 5 others journey into Antarctica's interior in an attempt to reach the South Pole, but on the way, they find a crashed alien spaceship and explore inside. In the end, 6 people go in, but only a single one comes out, and she's been changed forever by what's inside. Ooh, spooky, huh? Now let's talk about these characters, starting with our lone survivor. Velvet is the crew's doctor. She was born and lived in England up until when her mother passed away. She then moved to the US. Joining Grant's expedition is her way of running away from the grief of losing her only family. Velvet's mother was a famed surgeon who taught her daughter medicine and science from a young age. Velvet is more passionate about pathology than surgery, but she's very capable at both. Velvet is quiet and meek. She's afraid of making people angry and is quick to assume she's made somebody upset with her and apologizes excessively. During the crew's exploration of the crashed ship, they uncover the body of the alien queen. The queen takes over Velvet's body and assumes her identity, so while technically Velvet's body makes it back, I was stretching things a bit when I said she was the sole survivor. The queen spends the next several decades living as Velvet amongst humans as she plans an invasion of Earth. Besides their backstory, I also want to take some time to talk about everyone's most prominent relationships because this is such a big part of what shapes these characters. Velvet is heavily influenced by her relationship with her mother. She never learns the identity of her father and doesn't have any other close family. Velvet's grandparents died when her mother was very young, which resulted in her being afraid of forming close connections with other people and afraid of loss. Because of this, she was very neglectful towards her daughter. Velvet's relationship with her mother also left her with a fear of authority figures and a fear of upsetting people because her mother's temper was often quite short. August Grant is the head of the expedition and a former member of the USC and GS, the United States Coast and Geodetic Survey. He was unhappy working for them though, and quit in order to lead his own private expedition into Antarctica. Grant is married with a daughter, but his marriage has been rocky due to both his quitting his job and him being bad at communication. He's desperate for this survey to be successful then because he hopes it will help his marriage. Grant is a capable leader, but his biggest flaw is his insistence of avoiding difficult conversations, and he also has trouble forming close relationships with others. For Grant's relationship section, let's talk about his wife and daughter. His marriage was unremarkable up until he and his wife tried to conceive. It was a long struggle that resulted in a miscarriage, and the couple only tried again over a year later, which finally led to the birth of their only daughter, Dorothy. Dorothy, or Dot, is loved by both her parents. Because Grant's job takes him away from home for long stretches of time, he spoils Dot during the time he spends with her. He also feels guilty over missing milestones, but he's always kept these feelings to himself. His wife struggles with feeling like she only has a husband 50% of the time, though Dot doesn't quite realize yet that her dad's extended absences are abnormal. The crew's cartographer is Amina. She grew up with a passion and talent for art. Amina was brought in by a skilled impressionist painter who had her apprentice for him at his atelier. However, her time studying at his atelier wore down her joy for painting, and she ended up burning out and quitting entirely. She spent the next few years drifting around and struggling to figure out what to do with her life, before she then joined the USC and GS, which is where she met Grant. Amina is personable and perceptive. She's excellent at reading both the environment and people. She's also obsessed with science fiction, especially stories about aliens. Amina has both her parents and 2 younger siblings, but she's fallen out of contact with all of them. She feels guilty over leaving her apprenticeship and is too worried about disappointing them to speak to them again. She also has a budding crush on Velvet. Amina hasn't acted on her feelings and doesn't have any intention to, though, because she feels like that would be unprofessional of her. It's essentially a weird love triangle between Velvet, Amina, and the alien that ends up taking over Velvet's body. Let me explain. Because the alien could read both Velvet and Amina's thoughts, she's aware of Amina's feelings towards Velvet, and over the next several decades, she ruminated on these feelings and eventually convinced herself that things could have gone differently between herself and Amina. Wow, how healthy! Dario was born in Sardinia and came to the US in his teens. He's the son of Grant's main financier. Remember the shady businessman? The crew on board are weary about Dario. They feel like his presence on board is either because his father is planning something unscrupulous, or because Dario is just some spoiled rich kid who's trying to muscle his way in and take all the credit for himself. But actually, Dario just wanted to try and get out from under his dad's thumb. Dario has a really poor relationship with his father. He grew up troubled, and his father treats him like he's a complete failure. His personality is abrasive when you first meet him, but he's actually just trying to find his own path in life and people that will accept him. Dario's closest relationship is with his twin sister. The two will always support and take care of each other, even if Camilla likes to get on Dario's nerves and Dario gets on hers whether he likes to or not. Camilla is much better spoken and is usually the one helping Dario meet new people. As previously stated, Dario struggles with getting along with his crewmates. He slowly and eventually starts to integrate himself, though, and puts a fair amount of work into ingratiating himself to them. Grant never brings himself to fully trust or even like Dario, though, and Velvet isn't able to get over her fear of him. Nisha received a doctorate in archaeology, but following school, she struggled to find employment in her field. That's where Grant came in. He thought her knowledge set could be useful on their expedition, and Nisha took the job because she loves ships, and she wanted the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sail the Drake Passage. Nisha is unapologetically nerdy. Growing up, they struggled to make any friends and was bullied by their peers. Their father owned a bookstore, and they spent most of their childhood hidden away in there, reading. Nisha is blunt and a bit macabre. This makes it hard for her to get along with people. If you end up befriending her, she might end up talking for hours about things like shipwrecks, history, and weird fiction. Back home, Nisha has a woman that they've recently started dating. Deirdre is a single mother that Nisha is head over heels for, as well as the first person they've been able to comfortably come out to. The thought of coming home to Deirdre grounds Nisha and pushes them forward. After struggling her whole life to get along with people, Nisha is able to form some of her first friendships with the crew. She especially gets along well with Miles. And speaking of Miles, the last member of our crew is Miles. Miles has spent his life making mistakes and running away from them. Miles isn't even his actual name. It's a pseudonym he started using after racking up a huge amount of gambling debt. He's fun and laid back, the kind of person people get along with easily and like upon first meeting. But cracks start to show the more time you spend with him. In his eyes, he's trouble for anyone that gets close to him. He doesn't want to drag them into his messes. So when he and Dario catch feelings for each other, he does what he does best: run away. Miles left his wife and daughter only a few years after his daughter was born. He feels like he was nothing but trouble for them, and is definitely not over his wife. He wonders if his ex-wife, Deirdre, has gotten over him or still thinks about him. He has no idea that his new friend, Nisha, has a much stronger tie to him than either of them know. To make the mess even messier, Miles and Dario are mutually attracted to each other. Miles has dug quite the hole for himself, but is too preoccupied with being hunted by aliens to do anything about it. There's one more person of note on the Grant expedition. While only 6 people went on land, a few more stayed back on the ship. These were mostly sailors, but Grant also brought a nun with him for spiritual guidance. Shan became a nun in order to escape a marriage that their family was trying to strong-arm them into. They were going to college to study astronomy, but when their parents fell on hard times, they couldn't afford their tuition. Instead, they wanted to use Shan's dowry to help themselves get back on their feet. So Shan ran away and joined a convent despite not being religious themselves. During and following the expedition, Shan kept a detailed record of everything that they could and also collected all the documents about it that they could get their hands on. Something about all of this was troubling, and while at the time they couldn't figure out what was happening, someday in the future somebody else would. Shan hasn't spoken to their family in years, and that way they have quite a bit in common with Amina. Shan has a knack for finding common ground with other people and has a lot of positive interactions with everyone before they separate. Wow, thank you for sticking around till the end. I'm really excited for Artfight this year and also excited that I get to share these guys with you all. Are you taking part this year too? If so, I want to hear from you. Tell me about your own characters and share your username in the comments. I'd love to check out your profiles. Anyway, that's all from me today. Happy Artfight!